Jim, first off, just what's it been like now that you've worked with Brent and this coaching staff for the past few months? How has that relationship maybe grown over time?
Yeah, it's been great. The goal when I got there was just to get in the building and put my head down and work. And I really knew I needed to gain their trust and gain their respect, as our whole staff. Like we've talked about that. Like, guys, this is different, and we can't expect these guys just to be right on board with everything we're doing. Like, it's going to be a process. So that's what I'm excited about. I'm excited to get back in next week. So we've been on this break. So the scouting staff will be back in on Monday. We've got a big meeting with the coaches on Tuesday. So really looking forward to integrating. But, I got there in March. And again, people talk about their 2026 recruiting cycle. Like, we weren't midstream. Like, we were downstream on that thing. Come in March. So to able to go and get the Zeph and, I guess I can't talk about certain players, but there was a couple players that we got on late that we were able to get, so we're excited about that. We got some big wins on guys that the coaching staff really liked. But now we finally got a chance after OVs to kind of take a deep breath and now bring the two staffs together and get on the same page moving forward.
Jim, speaking of one of those big wins, you guys brought in Jaden Nagy in the spring portal. Just what was that process like, and then what have you kind of seen from him so far?
Yeah, so he was a guy a year ago when I was here in my old role at the Senior Bowl, doing the summer work on Jaden Nagy after coming off his, whatever it was, 1,300-yard season. Our board at the Senior Bowl, the running back group was Ashton Genty and Omari and Hampton, guys that were first-round picks in April, and Jaden Nagy. He was up there with that group of players. So when you find out he's going in the portal and you got a chance to get a difference maker, a guy that can score from anywhere on the field, you got to go. And we really like our running back group too. That's no indictment on that group, but Jaden's a special player. He's really got a unique skill set. He can play on all three downs. And again, you got a chance to get a dynamic playmaker at any position, offense or defense. You at least need to explore it, right? And when we saw there might be a chance there, we were really aggressive. So and Jaden's been awesome since he's gotten to Norman. He's in great shape. He looks great. I'm just fired up. The work ethic. What you don't know when you're not around a player a lot, the portal's hard. The hardest part of the portal is knowing what kind of guy you're getting. In the NFL, you can call around other teams, or you have background information from when he came out as a college player. Some of the portal stuff you don't know a lot about. But for him to get here and work the way he's worked and integrate with that running back room the way he's done that, it's been great.
You talked about Ott, and you knew about him and evaluated his college tape, but take me through high school recruiting and evaluating high school guys. Is that a learning curve at all for you, and what's that been like going through that process?
Yeah, it's a little different, but again, high school football. I think I spoke to this at the press conference, and it really kind of bore out to how I thought it would. If you just focus on the measurable stuff, real measurable stuff. We've got some guys on campus where not quite to where what's been put out there, whether through the high school or camps or whatnot. But if you focus on the measurable stuff and the athlete and the instincts and the production, you could. That stuff transcends, kind of what level they're playing at. So, yeah, it's been fun, man. It's been a little bit of a challenge because it's new, and I've had fun with it.
Fans and media always want to look at the ratings for guys.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
You guys don't pay attention to that, do you?
Yeah, no, we're going to strip all that stuff away, even when, in our new database, there won't be anything when you work in the NFL. The young scouts that I trained at the Senior Bowl I think we put 18 guys into the National Football League. Rule 1 is don't go online and search the internet for what a guy's, what Mel Kiper thinks about him or Todd McShay thinks about him or any of those guys. Do your work first, because again, we can try all we want not to be tainted by stuff, but you are, right? So our scouting staff won't do that. We're going to blindly evaluate these players when they kick to the coaches after they get graded at a certain level. Where we've told them do not fight the urge to go on and look where these guys, how many stars they have next to the name. We need really clean evaluations. And again, the other thing in the evaluation process that can really damage it is the groupthink aspect. And that happens a lot in a lot of places too. So do your own work first. Once you've evaluated the player, don't go running into somebody's office when you get excited about a player. And that's hard. You watch a player, you get excited. You want to hey man, come check this guy out. But we got to fight that urge to do that because it really hurts the whole evaluation process. Then once everyone has their work in, then we'll see where it settles. So just some those are some new things. But yeah, we're just going to stay true to what we see.
When you first got to Norman, you just talked about the stability of OU with Joe Castiglione, Joe Harris, Brent Venables, Randall Stevenson. Now with Joe C, on his way to retirement, just what's it been like working with guys like President Harris and Randall Stevenson and Brent?
Oh, the support has been incredible. That was really one of the big draws because, again, I've seen it in the NFL level. There's only not every team in the NFL is built to win Super Bowls, and it goes down to ownership. That's a pretty limited number of teams that really every year you need that support and are built the right way. And I just felt that from the minute I got to Norman. I had a great meeting with Joe C yesterday, and I just told him, just to even be a small part and be around you for the small time I have been, just really, really honored. His career, I was reading some of his stats on the flight over here today, and he's 58% of the national titles at OU have been won under his watch, and 6-time AD of the year. I mean, that stuff is. And again, I've never really got to know Joe until this process, but I'd always heard his name, and it was always glowing stuff. Being here at SEC Media Days every year, Joe C's name would be brought up somehow, some way, whether we were, dinner with SEC Network guys or whatever, and they're like, oh, he's the best. So I kind of knew going in, talk about a tainted evaluation. I'd heard all these great things about Joe Castiglione, and then when I met with him on the interview, I was like, this was absolutely right. So yeah, it's been great. Randall's been unbelievable. President Harris has been great. And then Brent and I's partnership has been awesome too. So it's been great.
John Mateer was at OU before you got here, but what's it been like watching him? What kind of player has OU got at quarterback?
He's he's good, and more importantly, he's the right guy. And I've told him this, and maybe I've said it publicly. If I didn't think he were the right, I wouldn't be saying a lot of glowing things about him if I didn't think he knew how to handle it. I feel like, John, you're good, man. He's what nobody sees. He's in the building all the time. He was in the weight room the other day. I was leaving late at night, getting some work in, and he was still in the weight room by himself. Seeing with his teammates, he's been unbelievable on some of the recruiting stuff, and to see him connect with guys so easily. Some guys really have to try to make connections with other people. John connects with people really easily. And it's hard to walk. Ideally, your quarterback can walk into the cafeteria and sit down with any position group and kind of hang with that group of guys. Not every quarterback can do that, and John can do that. And then the physical stuff. You guys watch it. I mean, he's a lot of fun to watch. He's a playmaker. He sees the field incredibly well. I'm just excited for all these guys just to get the pads on and watch them play. But yeah, John's been great.
What do you think of this team overall, just from a roster standpoint, talent? What do you expect from this group this year?
Yeah, I'll say this, but the phones rang a bunch over the last month because now the NFL guys are getting into their summer tape work. And I've had a lot of friends hit me up man, you guys got real dudes this year. So there's going to be a lot of foot traffic through OU. We talked about it on the flight with Spears Jennings and R. Mason and John, is that, guys, there's going to be a lot of guys with NFL logos at practice this fall. Just be ready. I told them that's a great opportunity for you guys because practice evals for NFL is huge. Just watching your tempo, you taking coaching, you being leaders, being good teammates. You look on both sides of the ball. We were talking about it yesterday, kind of talking about our plan, what it's going to be like for NFL scouts, and everyone okay, what position coaches are going to have to be made accessible to the scouts this year? Literally, there's an NFL player in every position group across the field, basically. I think the talent level's right there. I think last year, everything's been talked about last year. I think every reasons behind the record. I like the talent. I do.
We touched on Jaden Jackson, but what was your experience like in the spring portal, getting in there? I obviously hadn't built out your staff completely yet, but what was that like, just recruiting players in the spring portal, and did it kind of get you used to the way things are in college?
Yeah, the biggest goal in the spring was to get guys that could come in and play a significant role. We weren't looking for depth in the spring portal. We were looking for guys that were going to be starter, play significant roles. So Jake Michael on the offensive line, Jaden Nagy, the kicking situation. So that was Jermichael Carter. Those guys are guys we see playing and having a good role. But it was fun, man. You go into the process and you think you got your eyes open to everything, and of course sometimes you get surprised by some things. But no, every day is kind of a learning experience. And that's the great thing about our staff is like I knew I had blind spots on the college side, so bringing a lot of guys with a lot of college experience. So it's really been energizing for me, one, being around players and coaches again. And, you know, when you start a new thing, you guys have started new things in your life too. Like there's that, you know, initial period where you're working through it. And you're not always comfortable, you know, and you're not going to grow when you're comfortable. So it's been fun just learning from some of the college guys, not being in this space before. So it's been, all of it's been great.
Last question for me. Has there been any guys stand out, any young guys you're like, oh man, like I didn't know that, you had this guy or anything like that?
Yeah, I want to stay away from like, I know I'm dodging a question. I'd love to just like answer your question, but there's a lot of guys that even made a lot of growth in the spring. Like guys that I'd evaluated off 2024 tape that I thought were a certain player. And again, that's where the adjustment period for a guy, these guys get better fast. You know, the development can be, it's a little slower in the NFL. They're more fully formed. These guys can make big jumps. Some of the guys that what the tape looked like and the fans saw at the end of last season is not the same player they're going to see when we line up against Illinois State. So some guys make some really big jumps, and I'm excited for everyone to see that. Yeah.
Last one for me, Jim. We talked about some of the new additions to the offense, John, Jaden, and obviously coming off the disappointment last year. But what's your thoughts about Ben Arbuckle and just the way that he's kind of led that offense and just the kind of coach he's been?
Yeah, Ben's a stud, man. I hope he's in a position, you know, at some point to become a head coach because I think he'll be a really good one. And if he does, that means we've had a ton of success at OU, so I'm all for it. But no, he just brings a ton of juice. He's really kind of mature beyond his years. Like you guys see him at practice, but behind the scenes, like there is a maturity and a serious side to him when there needs to be. But he does. He keeps it light with the guys on the field. And I think the youth is great. He can still go and throw it around with those guys a little bit, but no, he has command, you know, and a lot of young coaches don't have command. They're still trying to be that, you know, player-to-player thing, like the young guy thing. When he needs to command the room, he commands the room, and he's not afraid to do it. So that's what I've been impressed by most.